Welcome back to the Leeds Rhinos Podcast, episode 58. My name is Phil Daly. I'm the head of media and PR here at the Rhinos. It's a Thursday, which means it's our Q&A edition. I'm delighted to be joined by Gareth Cook from the Leeds Rhinos Foundation. We'll find about all about Gareth's role and the fantastic work that the foundation do. I know we spoke about it previously on the podcast, and we'll do a bit more of a deep dive with the schools now back in. Any parents out there getting back into the routine of school life after the summer holidays, find out how the Rhinos work with schools right across the region and the difference it makes for so many in our communities. We'll be speaking about that and also reflecting on this year. It's 20 years since the formation of the Leeds Rhinos Foundation, and Gareth's been there since day one, actually minus days because he worked for the club prior to the formation of the foundation, so we'll be able to talk about how that's developed and how it's made a real difference to the lives of so many in our community. Remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Really important to keep in touch with all things Leeds Rhinos, and remember to push that notification button so you get to find out first of all when each podcast drops, and you can stay in touch with it. You don't miss a single thing from the Leeds Rhinos this season. There's a new edition of the Knock-On Effect coming out shortly. It's the fax bus has finally made its way onto the chairs to speak to Jared and Tom Nicholson-Watton. So it's Morgan Gannon and Tom Holroyd. Tales from the farmyard from Tom, I'm sure, and plenty of ribbon for Gano as he heads off to New Zealand at the end of the year. I'm sure they've got into him on that one as well. So make sure you've got that notification button pressed so you don't miss out on all that content when it drops. I'm sure it'll be another great one from the lads on that one. And of course, we'll have our match review edition on Monday here on the Leeds Rhinos podcast. We look back on Friday's trip to Wigan Warriors, the final game of the regular season, and looking ahead to that massive home playoff game when we know what that'll be next week, and we cannot wait for that one. First time with a home playoff since 2017. It's been a long time between drinks, and we can't wait for that one. So we'll be looking ahead to that on Monday. Gareth, great to have you on the show. First of all, give the fans a bit of an insight into yourself. You've been at the club a long time. You had a bit of a hiatus when you were away, just finding yourself, and then you came back again. But give people a bit of a background on yourself.
Yes, so I joined the club in 2005. So my role now is head of community. We're a foundation of about 30 regular staff and casuals on top of that. Today probably 50, 60. And when I first started in 2005, we were literally two or three of us in the Leeds Tykes department at the time in rugby union. The foundation was formed in 2005, and a few of us stupid into there. And I think there was 6 of us at the time, and then Chris Rostron, who's now at Rugby League Cares, was general manager. And it's just grown and grown ever since. And I think over the 20 years I've been involved, that's probably been the biggest highlight for me is seeing that organic growth in the foundation and bringing people in and diversifying in a lot of areas that we work. Traditionally we were a bag of balls and getting more people playing, but the work we do in inclusion, health and well-being has been a really good journey.
And your current role now, you head up a number of areas. Just explain what you're responsible for.
Yeah, so head of community, mainly it's a lot of work around the schools programmes. So we've got a really strong partnership with Leeds Well Schools, which sees us working around 200 schools in partnership with the club and Well Schools through the School Games Framework, which is a national competition framework available to every school in the country. We've got another group of staff who work in clusters, so we're really close with Armley Farnley, Pudsey, and then in Morley area in the south. So we work with about another 30 schools, literally every week. We have quite a big competition framework, so that's not just rugby league, that is, dodgeball, netball, basketball, whatever ties in with the School Games Framework really, or the enrichment program the schools want to do. I also oversee community netball, which was new to me 5 years ago. Still roughly about getting to the grips with the rules of it. But luckily we've got Jade Green and Lisa McCormack who do a brilliant job with us in the community. And that gives us a footprint across Yorkshire as well as just Leeds, being the Yorkshire franchise, and now the North East as well. And I've been involved with quite a few different areas of the foundation, whether that's in the rugby league development with the growth of the college programme and the Rhinos Challenge, but also with the health and well-being. So we have a really good partnership with Rugby League Cares in Movember, where we deliver mental health awareness workshops with Year 9 students. But we also put that out into the community game, working with players, coaches and parents.
Yeah, and we'll do a deep dive into each then, because in their own right, they're fascinating areas. In terms of that, you mentioned the amount of schools and kids that we're dealing with. It's a huge amount of people being involved, whether that's teachers, parents, the kids themselves. I mean, logistically, that must be a real challenge to stay on top of all that.
It's good. Again, it's kind of grown organically, so it hasn't been from 0 to 200. It's grown each year, and I think the partnership with Leeds Well Schools has really helped that. So the school games, they will work with nearly every school in Leeds, and then I say we work as a layer underneath that, delivering the coaching. We've got really strong links with the head teachers. So when we work with these clusters, it's, for example, in Pudsey there's 15 primary schools. They all tie into a member of staff called Brad Cox, and he goes and delivers bespoke PE, enrichment and raising aspirations in schools, because we use the brand of the Rhinos not just to engage people with sport, but we know there's been, attendance sometimes goes up when our members of staff are in school. They really engage having that other voice in school rather than a teacher. So the relationships have been really strong, and we work in different areas. So things like the dance programme that Nicola Booth has run so successfully for a number of years, that not only provides expertise in dance, which is part of the curriculum, but also we gave 800 young people the opportunity this year to come and dance on the pitch pre-match. So they might not be coming here for a rugby league experience, but they're coming to get involved with dance. And I think once they've been to a game, it's quite hard to, once you're here, you're here for life.
Yeah, and that's a great opportunity to talk about match days and how that work, the great work that we're doing out actually in schools, how that relates to here at AMT Headingley and getting involved, because we've had the dance spectacular, we've had the sing spectacular as well. And, fans who maybe don't have kids in primary schools, might not appreciate how much work goes into that, but they will see out on the pitch. We had skipping this year as well, didn't we?
Skipping was a new one. I didn't take part in that one. Skipping was new. The sing spec, I think it's in its second year and has grown, and the dance spec a number of years ago started with only 200, and now we're nearly, I think the goal next year to try and get 1,000 kids on the pitch. Not sure if Ryan Golden will be talking about that, but we're trying to get as many on. But to be fair, the ground staff are brilliant at supporting everything we do. It's very rare they don't give us access to the pitch, and I know in other clubs and different sports that's really hard to come by. So we are really fortunate that we can get on the hallowed turf as much as we can at AMT Headingley. But even away from the spectaculars we do, the amount of kids that play at half time through the club ambassador scheme that we run, with Sam and Brad getting those kids on. I think we've had something like 4,500 young people that have played on the pitch across the year. But also the schools, I think we've delivered nearly 200 assemblies across the year within Leeds through our staff and the club staff. And we have some really positive messages going into schools around respect, teamwork, health and well-being, supporting your mate, taking a leaf out of the Rob and Kev story. And they come on master games. So I think we're having nearly 400 kids that are coming for the first time, and when I was a young lad and watched the first game in 1988, it's hard, you're hooked. It's just such a good spectacular event to come see. But it's not just what you see on the pitch; it's all the wraparound. It's a fantastic game day experience at Headingley.
Yeah, and almost things seem to become a bit full circle, because you mentioned originally you worked on Leeds Tykes and when the foundation had both teams, and I noticed last week at the game there was a number of teams from rugby union clubs who were playing at half time as well, from I think Wetherby and other clubs were here as well. So it shows the appeal of coming to a Rhinos game for kids, and you think those that come and watch it will then go, well, actually, I'd like to play a bit of league as well as junior.
Yeah, I mean, when I started in 2005, the Tykes had just won the Power Gen Cup, and we did an awful lot of work with the clubs in Yorkshire. And I think when you're playing sort of tag at 7, 8 and 9 years old, rugby's rugby. You're getting the core skills of the game, the catch, the pass, the run, the evasion. So whether you're playing league or union, I don't think it matters too much at a younger age, as long as you got a ball in hand. And anyone, whether it's football, rugby, whatever, having the opportunity to come and play on the pitch at AMT Headingley, it's just such a unique experience. And I think nearly every child that's come through from under 7s to under 11s across Leeds, every single child has probably played on the pitch at some point in their time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you talk about, you do see it at half time. There's just a sea of kids playing rugby. It's brilliant to see. It's absolutely brilliant to see. And you mentioned about the ground staff and how they make that possible. Because as a club, that one team Rhinos ethos, that the guys know that by letting those kids play, we've got more parents coming, more money coming into it, and it allows us all to continue and grow the business and get even more people watching and playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest focus on the foundation, the mission is changing lives through sport, and I think it's all around opportunities and to give people the opportunity to come to a game, but not only just be at the game, but come onto the pitch is just such a memorable experience for young people. But the process, like I say, it's not just done overnight. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of work. So, we have a foundation team that are dedicated to working with the clubs, to bringing them in, and then working alongside Matt and the team in the marketing department. So we meet every single month. There's lots of actions, and it's doing whatever we can to get as many people down here as possible and experience a game day.
Yeah, it's that hand in glove approach, isn't it, where everyone works together. And people who listen to the podcast regularly, we had Darren Higgins on last week, who's our new head of youth from next year onwards. But his big ethos is around the Rugby League development plan, which I know that you're a big part in guiding that as well. But in terms of partnerships and being able, it's vital, isn't it, that none of these programs work for nothing. We need investment. We need to be able to bring that to. And I know a lot of the work you do is actually bringing partners on board with the club who want to support the work and actually can see, by working with the foundation, we can deliver on our own goals and visions for those companies. And it's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, Dan Busfield's done a great job with that. So we do work with a lot of corporate organisations, how we can work on their ESG strategy, and rather than them having their own staff delivering something, it's can they support a local charity like us who is so broad in what we do, and we can also reach people that other people find hard to reach. A good example of that is even like our men's weight management program that we've run in the past, that when you come to Headingley, no one knows kind of what you're here for. You could be here to buy a ticket, go to the shop, but no one necessarily knows you're here for a men's weight management program. So we can reach people that other people can't with the power of the brand. But that ESG strategy that we can tie into is a really good opportunity for businesses to engage, get some really positive outcomes, and a real good social value on their return of investment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of the work that the foundation do, and I know there's been research into the value that people get from spending a single pound with us, and how that then exponentially grows into huge amounts in terms of the value that's out there in our communities. And you mentioned before that when you first started, it was about cones and bags of balls and going in and starting sessions, but it's about so much more than that now. And you mentioned the work with Rugby League Cares and Movember, and going in and actually talking about mental health with school age children, but also importantly their parents and that work. Yeah,
we've worked in quite a few areas on that. So there's the schools program with Rugby League Cares in Movember ahead of the game. So it started in Australia, it's come over here. We were one of only a couple of rugby league clubs to deliver that. I know they're trying to deliver it in football and cricket now as well, but we've been kind of pioneering on that. We've been a flagship model. We've had really good results from the work that we've done. So Dane Wetherill and Matt Air have done a great job working in the schools with Year 9s, and then we tie in with Sam and the clubs, working with parents, players and coaches as well, to look for little signs and symptoms of things just keep an eye out for, to make sure that a young person's mental health is in the right position it needs to be in, and they're in the right frame of mind. It's always quite popular around exam times, and we've actually taken it from just rugby league. We've gone into netball as well. There's lots of people and the different pressures in life, and we don't always know what's going on, but it's good for us to make them aware of giving them a toolkit that they can use, but then also knowing who they can speak to, whether it is someone in school, someone in their club, or whether it's someone professional that they can also speak to by ringing one of the helplines.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old adage, isn't it? Prevention's better than a cure. And if we give the kids the tools to be able to deal with those pressures, so we don't have to get to the crisis point, because we all know the challenges around that in this country at the moment, in terms of the real resources that are available for that side of things. So that I think that works invaluable for those young people. In terms of you spoke about how fantastic the work is the foundation does and is able to do. Were there any sort of barriers that you'd love to, if you had a blank piece of paper and you could change things around, that you thought if we could just get to that point, we could just do even more?
I think the barrier will always be in the charity sector around funding. With funding, whether that's grant funding, commercial partners. I mean, we're really lucky with what we've got at the foundation. We have partners that have been with us a long time, because I think we're a trusted provider and we deliver a really good programme. But if we had a bit of an unlimited pot of funding, then we could work with every single school in Leeds, regulate every single club, and devote even more time and effort resource into the communities, that would kind of be utopia for us, really. It's always a challenge. It always will be. I mean, I think years ago you were getting 3 to 5 years worth of funding, and now you're kind of going year to year. So you're halfway through a programme and you're already trying to evaluate it to try and secure the next lot of funding. But we are really lucky. We've got some amazing partners who've been with us a long time. You know, we might come to like ESF at the Rhinos Challenge, Leeds City College. We've got Flutter, NG on board now, and they've been fantastic partners. And not only are they invested in the programmes that they do with us, but they get involved in a lot of wider things. So NG, for example, they're a fantastic partner in our inclusion department, but I think this is their second year. They're going to do the Big Sleep as well. So I think once you're in it at the Rhinos, whether it's the foundation or the club, it's hard not to keep involved with it and get involved in all the activities that we deliver.
Yeah, you mentioned the Big Sleep there, and I know there's been a launch around that, and that's a partnership with St George's Crypt, which is fantastic work, you know, with the homeless within our city. Tell us a bit more about that, because I know you've been a big advocate over that in recent years.
Yeah, this year, 23rd of October, will be my 9th Big Sleep, so 9 nights sleeping out on the stadium. I think I've kept a few people up with me snoring.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
I've moved a few people on from it and probably deterred a few from doing it. But yeah, we get anywhere between 150 200 sleepers.
Wow.
It's a dead informal night. We have a bit of fun, but we talk about the funding that raised, where it'll go. You know, we might put it into a certain department of the work that we do. It's been put into the inclusion, the PDLD, LD teams and wheelchair, and the Crypt, celebrating their 95th birthdays, helping the most vulnerable people in the city. So it's a night where we can have a bit of fun, we can raise lots of funds, and hopefully use that funding to go and make a difference in the community. But yeah, 9 years, so even bigger next year when we have our 10th year. But the St George's Crypt have been brilliant partners of ours throughout that.
Yeah, and I know it's a great fundraiser, but also for everyone I've spoken to who's been involved in it, it also does make you think about what people have to deal with on a nightly basis. So where am I going to sleep? Will I be safe while I'm asleep? And you know, I think that you could easily put on a dinner and an event that would raise similar awareness and maybe not the same amount of funds, but actually the doing of it as well.
Yeah.
And working in partnership with St George's Group shows that the foundation has a real vision for the city, not just for the rugby or the netball, but actually how can we help the city of Leeds?
Yeah, that's it. We try and tie in with Leeds City Council's goals to make this the best city for young people, well, anyone to live in really. Whether that's through our education programmes that we run, partnering with St George's Crypt, and the night's not around trying to replicate people who are having tough times and homeless on the streets of Leeds. It's just a night out of comfort, so that people get a bit of understanding what some people are going through and what we can do to help. You know, we partner with St George's Crypt and the growing rooms. So myself and Sue and Ryan have met with people who've come through that programme, and we've managed to find employment for people. So it's doing our bit that what we can do to support the most vulnerable people in the city, but that's not necessarily just through the Big Sleep. We've got a partnership with SCL. We've got 44 NEET learners currently in the Tri-Zone classroom doing level 1s and level 2s. We're in our second year of that programme, and 75% of 50 kids last year went on to positive outcomes, whether that's a next level in education or whether they've gone into employment. So we do work with alongside Leeds City Council to meet a lot of their goals, whether it's homelessness, the NEET agenda, physical activity, mental health. And I always use this quote that Jamie Jones told me, and it was that when you everything has to be done in collaboration. I think it's like 3.5 million pieces to an aeroplane, but none of them fly. So it's what we can do together to bring everything together to make it work.
Yeah, he loves a quote, does Jonesy. He's got plenty of them to go around.
I steal that one all the time.
He won't mind using that one. He's got loads. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned there about working with Leeds City Council and their goals, and that's a big stamp on the work that the foundation do. Is that local authorities really support the work and really appreciate the work they do, whether that's the West Yorkshire Authority or Leeds City Council and the various bodies within that. They obviously value what the foundation do and are happy to put their name alongside what the foundation do.
Yeah, and again, it's a really broad area that we work with Leeds City Council. So, like you mentioned, the West Yorkshire Mayor's Fund that we've worked with before on our prison projects, and we're trying to look at what else we can do across West Yorkshire and Rugby League through a programme that Dan's looking at doing. But even ward councillors, when they get there, they get youth activity funding. To deliver positive programmes for young people, and we've been running camps for absolutely years. They're a bit of our bread and butter really. That's something that we probably have done since 2005, and it's grown and grown. I mean, on average, this summer we had 400 people a day coming through our services, and that's through partnerships with local ward councillors. But not only were we delivering really good experiences on camps for young people ages maybe 7 to 14, but for the first time we actually recruited 20 young people aged 16 to 18 and actually gave them employment to be assistant coaches on camp. I think that 16 to 18 brackets maybe a little bit of a gap that we've missed over the summer, but being able to give them meaningful employment when they're going on to do sports A-levels or going into college, it's a really good experience, and it's probably one of the best things we've done on camps. And I was lucky enough to present to the Outer East Ward Committee on Tuesday, and actually one of our young leaders came with us to present and talked about her experiences of working with us and how it's boosted her confidence and done her the world of good going into college.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. It's all, as you started out by saying it's about opportunities and giving people opportunities, and whether that's an opportunity for a younger person to be out of the house but in a safe environment in a camp during the summer holidays where, sometimes, times are tough and they might not have those opportunities or the chance to get that first step in the employment ladder. It's it's fantastic for those things. We mentioned earlier on it's the 20th anniversary of the formation of the foundation. I remember it well. That's the original launch. When you look back over 20 years, are there any particular highlights that stand out for you?
I think we spoke about this just before we came on the podcast. It's really hard to pick one out, and there's so much that's happened. I mean, I think just the growth generally of the foundation, going from 6 or 7 down at Kirkstall, the training ground, when we were just above Tony Smith back then when we first started, to now having Trizone as a base and Kirkstall. So the growth has been big. There's been some quite cool things that have gone on social media the last few weeks celebrating that as well. So we worked with the Sick Children's Trust quite a number of years ago and did the single Proud, where Danny Maggs and Luke Burgess did their solos with RJP Choir. So that was quite a significant highlight, and getting to meet the Phantom of the Opera himself, Michael Crawford, that was quite cool.
You mentioned that quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, and I'll drop that in as much as I can. But then things like the Rhinos Challenge. I mean, again, I think when that first started with Leon Crick, there was about 30-40 teams that came to that, and over the sort of, this will be our 11th year, I think now, with a couple of years with COVID, but there's 383 rugby league teams come to that event over 2 weekends. 60 young referees that Sam and Darren did a great job in putting them through their coaching quals. And also now we've had 84 netball teams, so 12,000 people just descend on Skegness for 2 weeks. It's a great event, and it's not just about young people going and playing rugby. There's lots of stories in the background of how they've fundraised and walked and cycled and bagpacked all this time to go to this event. So when we do these programs, there's so many layers underneath them and success stories. It's really hard to pick one out.
Yeah, and if you're a Rhinos fan who's not been to Rhinos Challenge, I mean, it is just an incredible event. And I think the most telling thing I could say about Rhinos Challenge is as you go around community clubs, and I've mentioned on here before that both my kids play community rugby league, but you go to any clubhouse in the land, I reckon, there's a Rhinos Challenge trophy.
The Vince Lombardi Rhinos Challenge trophy.
It's there, and you go, God, they've got it. And even when I was over at Lee last Saturday at the Lee Miners Rangers, and they had Rhinos Challenge trophies up in there. It must be the most universal piece of Rhinos branding that we've ever done. It's in every community club in the land.
It's in every club. And what's amazing is when you get teams from, there's a lot of Hull teams that go, and all these Hull, they've got brand new kits that they've sponsored for, and they've all got massive Leeds Rhinos badges all over them. I'm thinking it must kill them to have some of these badges on sometimes. But yeah, the trophies are amazing, the medals together are amazing. But again, the support we get from the club. Players come every year. We've got a few players that absolutely love it. I mean, I think Mick will happily miss a game to come to Rhinos Challenge.
Mick's got a season.
He likes a free holidays, Mick. But we I shared a picture with Jamie Jones. I think it was about 2017 or 2015. Jack Broadbent was the player of steel, and it was Jordan Lilly and Jamie Jones giving him his trophy. So I'm actually meeting up with the ESF guys this weekend, and we'd love to do some sort of audit across Super League to find out how many players that were in the game now have taken part in Rhinos Challenge.
Absolutely, I mean, it's a phenomenal thing, and it again shows the partnerships, the foundation working with quality people in ESF events and putting those events on and the continuous and they sell out every year. I mean, you've got waiting lists, haven't you?
I think it's already sold out. Yeah. It's already sold out for the Rugby League, but I mean, and the girls' game's really grown. I think last year we had 30 girls teams come to Rhinos Challenge, and I suppose the biggest success with the girls is probably our own Caitlin Beavers,
Yeah.
who played in the competition when she was younger. She then refereed in the tournament when she was a little bit older, and then she came back as a player appearance to present the awards. So it's a really nice journey that some of our players have gone through.
Yeah, I mean, we look back on that 20 years of the foundation, and I don't imagine anyone on that opening day when we had
Dame Kelly Holmes
there, of course, to open it, how wide and broad the foundation was going. We had this week, we had our Leeds Rhinos Player of the Season awards here at AMT Headingley, and it was great at the start of the evening. We had our PDOL awards and our LDSL awards for the player, and Debbie Kennedy, who won the LDSL one, and she was just so delighted to be the player, and she talks about how her favourite player was Lockie Miller. Then Lockie obviously won a couple of awards, and they had their picture of their awards together. Brilliant. And things like that. You think, well, that is what Leeds Rhinos is about. That is the core of what this club represents, and so much that comes from the work of the foundation.
Yeah, I mean the LDSL. I mean, it's such a great group of people, and we work with Aspire CBS, so we work in 7 hubs every week of the year. Harry and Ed do a great job, so we do physical activity sessions to get people more mobile, get them fit, get them moving, and they love it. I think even Debbie said that Harry was the best coach he's ever had. And it's really rewarding for our staff to hear that, and they know they're doing a good job. Aspire are a great partner. We're actually now doing a dementia program specifically with the adult social care sector. So Ed's doing that twice a week. We're in Aspire hubs delivering that program. So it's just so broad, and what we do can lead on to so many other options. So let's say the first of all, they're coming into a physical activity session in the hub, then they're going to a dementia program, then they're playing at Headingley as part of our LDSL team. So we're not just seeing them for a couple of hours a week. They become part of our family, basically, at the club. Richard Tate's probably the best example. I think he's the only person who's maybe been at the foundation longer than I have, where he's helping Sam a lot on the half-time teams and things like that. And he's been with us. He's been involved in pretty much every single project we've done. So it is genuinely changing lives through the power of sport.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great lad, Richard. He used to be down at Kirkstall, and now you see him up here now. And if you see Sam Horner doing his length of the field run, he's now got Richard involved, and he's given a pass to him as well. So it's fantastic to see the whole community here and again on a match night and being involved in a match night. And sometimes if you ever go to a football game, I always think this at half time, whether it's Premier League or wherever, and you just got this blank piece of grass that is just crying out for people to do stuff on it, to get them involved in it, and they do nothing. And and you just think, well, when I look out at our pitch at half time, I know we've already touched on it, but you think, well, that the whole of our community is here together on a match day, and it's the elite stuff that we all get passionate about, and that's where we wish Lois and her team and Brad and his team all the very best as we go into the business end of the season, and that's sort of like cherry on top, isn't it? But the rest of the Rhinos community is all there on display.
I think with clubs, I'd encourage clubs to do as much as they can, because you are providing memories that last a lifetime. But you're absolutely right, Phil. It's awful to go to an event and then at half time just everything stops, or even pre-match everything stops. Yeah. I mean, we had some guests on at the game against Catalan. I know it wasn't the greatest result, but pre-match just looked amazing. You never get bored of looking at it.
Yeah.
You're still there with your camera filming what's happening pre-match, and it is amazing. But so if any clubs are listening that don't have anything at half time, whether it's rugby league, football, whatever, get kids on there, get it being used. And again, a big thanks to Ryan and the staff, because they allow us on. It's very, very rare that we'll ask them, can we get on? And they'll say no.
Yeah.
They'll get it on as much as they can, because they understand the value. The Aspire Festival, where we do all these sessions that we do in the hubs, leads to the event at the end of the year, which is the Disability Tag Rugby Festival. So Chadwick Lawrence, again, a partner, they come and support the day with some of their volunteers. We have 4 pitches marked out, and they move everything so we can get on there either on the morning or afternoon, but they make sure it gets played, because they're here at every home game. They come watch every game. So for us to be able to give back to them an opportunity to play on the pitch is incredible.
Brilliant stuff. And as we always say, and we won't get tired of saying it, All of this work is only possible through the partners that we have. The existing ones are fantastic people, but we need more partners as well. We need people to really back this vision and be part of it, and the feel-good factor around that, and you being part of that is so good, just for your own company and being part of it, but also for all your staff to be proud. Imagine your company logo on a top that's delivering all this sort of things. All your staff feel proud, all your customers will feel proud to be associated with, and we'll put some details in the show notes so you can get in touch with us if that's something you think you want to get involved in, and you know you brought partners on board, and I think when people first do it, they think, oh, it's like a sponsorship deal and it feels good, but actually once they get involved in it, it just gets into the blood, doesn't it?
We say this with the schools. I think they initially buying in the brand, they're buying in the Rhinos, but as soon as we've got staff in there, you know, they're buying into those people who are really invested in their kids and what they're doing and how we can have an impact on their life or their school. But yeah, once we've got partners in there, they're hooked and they stay with us and they get involved in so many different other areas of the business.
And in terms of schools, how they can get in touch with us and find out how they can get involved, how to do that?
Yeah, but the easiest way is probably to go on the website or follow us on the social media. So it's at Rugby Leeds, but www.leedsrhinosfoundation.org, and you'll find my details or another member of staff that can point in the right direction of how we can get involved.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, and hopefully you've enjoyed that insight into the work the Leeds Rhinos Foundation do. There's so much that goes on. It's, you know, we could probably go on for another couple of hours going through every single element. It's so broad and so delivered with such expertise and care for our community, and everyone here at Leeds Rhinos is incredibly proud of the Leeds Rhinos Foundation, all the work the guys do there. There are superheroes out in the community and spreading the love for Leeds Rhinos, so we really value that. If you're going over to Wigan on Friday night, safe trip over there. There's a few guys missing, but Brad's really confident in the guys that are going over there to take on the Warriors and give ourselves a springboard into the playoffs. And then don't forget, make sure you check out, after all the games are completed on Friday night, we'll have final details of when tickets will go on sale for our playoff game. We'll know the date, the time straight away. As soon as we know how the final table's finished, we won't count any chickens until it's all been done. Once that's done, check on the website, all the details there, how you can buy your tickets, the priority period for members for their seats will all be on there, so you can find all those details. It's going to be a cracking night at AMT Henley next week. We cannot wait for it. A do or die playoff game. Hopefully Jake and Ash and Lockie are back for that one. Brad's pretty confident they're going to be fit for the playoff game, so all things point towards a massive game and a chance to go one step closer to Old Trafford. Thanks for joining us on the Leeds Rhinos podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you check out some of the previous editions. We've talked about a lot of things there the foundation do. If you have a look at Darren Higgins, one that we spoke to recently, but we've also had Dan Bosfield on to talk about the work he does, and Sam Horner, we had him back on when just after the Rhinos Challenge, and he was talking effusively about Rhinos Challenge and all the great work that Sam does. So check out those previous editions if you want a bit more information. We go a bit more in depth into each of those subjects. You can find a bit more information out about that. We'll see you on Monday for the match review. Can't wait for that. Remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to stay in touch with all things Leeds Rhinos. Press that notification button so you can find out first of all when the new content drops. We've got loads of great content coming up and we're really building up now as we get to the business end of the season. Don't forget we've got a big game here at AMT Henley on Saturday with the reserves grand final. That's, if you can't make it down, it's a 2:00 kickoff. It'd be great if you can come down and support the guys. That's going to be a massive game. But we've also live streaming the final from here at AMT Henley on our YouTube channel, free of charge. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can make sure you know exactly when that game goes live. Expert commentary from our very own Dan Hawkhead leading the charge there. So enjoy that one. We had a great the semi-final against St Helens the other week. We've got really big numbers of people watching on YouTube. So make sure if you can't get down there, best thing, get down there, support the boys, make plenty of noise, make it a real great atmosphere for them. If not, don't miss out. You can watch it, the live stream on the YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Monday.